which brings us to our next question. Which of the three new coaches in the league, and the funny thing is, we're probably going to have these same 12 guys next year because nobody's really on a hot seat, but which of the three new coaches will have the most immediate success? So that would be for this season. Robbie, start with you.
I think maybe Mullen, because he's going to have a little bit more of an entertaining offense. They're going to score some points. Traditionally, they're pretty good on defense. And the expectations there are just win a few games and you've been a success. And I think
5 and 7.
I think he can win. He can win 3-4 games, and it's going to be a successful year for him. And something positive for recruiting and for the future.
Chris, how about you?
I kind of look at it from the other on the other side of that. If Auburn doesn't win, even 500, I think a lot of fans are going to be going, "Why did we get this guy?" And in Tennessee,
I'm already saying that.
Yeah, well,
a lot of people have.
Tennessee, I think it's going to be the same thing. Although I think Kiffin they might give a little bit more leeway to because of he's got a pretty good coaching staff and he's going to attract some more recruits. I think. So for the immediate impact, I think you got to go with Mullen and I mean he's a guy with really nothing to lose the first year or two especially.
Yeah, I know. And Cecil, I think really all three of these guys. While they're not on hot seats, they have a little bit of that nothing to lose mentality. But and you guys know because I know you cover Alabama, so you're aware of Auburn. What happened with Auburn, and can he get them back to normal? I know the Tony Franklin experiment was part of the problem.
They have some talent and still have some talent on defense. Their offense was just such a disaster last year, and I think that finally sort of sapped the life out of their team. That and apparently a lot of contentiousness on the coaching staff, which can also do it. They should be pretty good defensively. I just don't know how they're going to score enough points to win a lot of games. And I would say I agree with you that neither one of those two first-year guys are on what fans think of as this year hot seat, but they are both. I promise you, they walk in the door on what I would call the Ron Zook, Mike Shula hot seat, which is they got 3 years to either show it or be gone. So
and we know how
it's not
no patience there.
So they either are going to have to be good or be gone.
And another thing I think you got to factor in real quick is like Auburn and Tennessee quarterback situation. I mean,
just not good. Not good at either place.
Or Mississippi State.
I'm gonna
not there either. Actually,
those are the bottom three in quarterback play. I'm going to go with Kiffin, believe it or not. And here's my theory. I think he's got very good assistant coaches. We know Ed Orgeron can't be a head coach, but I think he's a good assistant. He's a good assistant.
He can rip his shirt
Southern
off.
Cal, he can rip his shirt off. He can drink Red Bull like it's water. Monty Kiffin. I'm interested in seeing how well they're going to play defensively, but he knows what he's doing. So I think he's got a great recruiting class coming in, and obviously great facilities and everything. Even though he's made guys mad, coaches around the league, including the coaches that you cover and the coach that I cover. I think that gets into people's heads the wrong. If you let that get in your head the wrong way, he'll come in there and go, "Hey, they were focusing on me and not on the team." So
here's my theory on Monty Kiffin, though, Pat. For 100 years, every Sunday
he's not 100. He's not.
No, however many years he was in the NFL.
Looks 100.
He may look
Sunday after Sunday, he faced the same exact offense. Yeah. They're all the same in the NFL. In college football, everyone's different.
Everybody's does something different.
So see how he does with that.
It is a game that on any list of the 20 most interesting SEC games hadn't been discussed. It's not Florida LSU, it's not Alabama and Ole Miss. Somebody's got to lose the Tennessee Auburn game, and whoever does, their fans are really going to start looking at each other, kind of.
Well, and the great thing about that is it's October 3rd, which means it's our off week, so we get to sit back and watch it. Speaking of games, let's go to the game you most like to see this year. What game are you really looking forward to? And the obvious answer for me is Florida LSU. Because obviously you're talking about the last two national champions. It's at Tiger Stadium, which is a great venue. It's in Baton Rouge, so we'll have a good time Friday night. So it's hard to say anything but Florida LSU, but I'm sure that you guys have some thoughts on that, Chris.
Well, the quarter I want to see is the first quarter of Florida Tennessee. Maybe even half. I don't know. No, that's a game I want to see too. I want to see Florida and LSU. I just think in terms of talent, they're probably 1-2 in the conference, and another year from now, which probably going to be Alabama instead of LSU. But boy, what a great setting that's going to be. I'm a little jealous. I'd like to be at that game.
For games that I'll get to see, Alabama and Ole Miss, I think just what the atmosphere will be like in Oxford. Will they be, if they're undefeated in the middle of October, that'll be as crazy probably as they've ever had a game there. It's a bigger stadium, relatively speaking, than they've ever had. A lot of years when they were good, they weren't even playing many games in Oxford. They were playing in Jackson. So it'll really be. Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting from that standpoint, and it's the first of that kind of round robin between Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU in the West. So of the games that I'll get to see, it would be that one. Y'all mentioned Florida LSU and Florida Tennessee. I'd like to see Florida Georgia just to see
what happens.
Yeah.
What's round 3?
And that is, and the other reason I say that it'll happen for me, but that is Alabama's open week. So as you were saying, that's one I can sit back and watch.
How about you, Robbie?
I'm jumping on the LSU Florida bandwagon. Myers never won there. Tebow hasn't won there. Meyer was crying after the game in 2005. And now LSU was embarrassed last year at Florida Field. I mean, you don't see that happen to LSU, the way that game played out. So I think it's a revenge factor. Tiger Stadium's going to be alive. It's going to be, the fans are going to be hyped and loaded. So I just think it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere and a very intense game.
The worst part about it will be on deadline.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
That's the worst part for our readers.
I talked to Tebow about this. I asked him, I said, what's your favorite stadium other than the Swamp to play in? He said, Baton Rouge. I love going there. And, of course, last year they got a hold of his cell phone and they were calling him. And he scored the first touchdown and then it went like this.
Taunted him a little bit.
But, why wasn't that a penalty?
It was when John Parker Wilson did it.
I know. It's like it's subjective refereeing all the time.
What is it with LSU and the cell phones thing, though?
They're fascinated by it.
They just discovered it?
Maybe they'll start twittering him to death.
Absolutely.
All right, our last question before we get out of here is going to be the simplest question, and that, does the SEC make it 4 in a row? National championships. Cecil?
Without having studied every other team in the nation, because it's just hard to do, I think the winner of the SEC championship game, unless it's a stunning upset in that game, will be in the BCS, will be in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, not the Rose Bowl, but in Pasadena. If it's USC, if you have to go out there, beat USC in Pasadena, that's tough for Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, whoever it may be. So I think this may be the kind of the year that Pete Carroll, if they don't win it, he's done a great job, but some people say, well, they've only won one time, and it's pretty set up for Southern Cal this year.
How about you, Robbie?
I think, SEC with anybody but USC in the Rose Bowl will win the national championship. But like Cecil said, it's like a home game almost out there for Southern Cal. They don't have to travel, the other teams do. I just have a feeling that, if the SEC winner is playing Texas or anybody else, Ohio State, I think the string goes to 4.
Well, we saw it in the Orange Bowl or whatever, the BCS championship game. I mean, that was a Gator crowd, and it wasn't that way in the Fiesta Bowl 2 years before. But Chris, that was allowed. It was almost like a home game for Florida, and I think you're right. That'll be the reverse there.
Where did LSU win theirs?
Yeah,
Sugar Bowl, exactly.
So.
I tell you what, I've been picking USC to win a national championship or be in the championship game like 5 years in a row now, or maybe even more. And as much talent they have, and as good a coach as I think Pete Carroll is, I just think it's Florida's to lose this year. It's just, I mean, they would have gone undefeated last year except for one play against Ole Miss. I think this year's team is better. I like them to beat Texas, actually.
That's who I picked in the championship game, was Florida, Texas. And Texas, I just think they're going to be hungry because they felt like they got snubbed last year. And here's my thing. After I picked Oklahoma to win the national championship game last year, much to the chagrin of many people back in the Gator Nation, I made a vow I'm never betting against Tim Tebow again. So my answer is yes. I think the SEC will win a 4th straight, and I think it'll be Florida, and I think they'll go 14-0. I'm not picking against him ever again. So I don't even need to make picks this year. Just pencil Florida in. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. As for all of us, this is what we love, is college football, and we live in probably the 2 best towns to watch it.
Yeah, I would think
Absolutely.
We'll argue with anybody on that.
Oh, yeah.
Until our next roundtable, Pat Dooley, Robbie Andrew, Chris Walsh, Cecil Hurt from Tuscaloosa and Gainesville saying so long.